Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 22 of the Underrated Podcast, the podcast where we talk to you about sports and rant about a bunch of stuff that we think should be ranted about. Today is a bit of a different episode than the past 14. We've had guests for 14 straight episodes, and we thought this could be our recap. We're just gonna go through every guest, talk about what we liked about them, because we obviously we're appreciative of all of them. All of them were great.
All of them have been really amazing guests. They've all been awesome, and we like hearing the different stories that they have. So
yeah, but you're going through. You have all these amazing people, like all of them. We are so grateful of getting, which was. I'm actually very surprised we got most of these guys because all of them are bigger than we expected.
Like it'd be like at like midnight, and I would get a text from saying we got another one, and I'm like, oh wait, who isn't? And it would just be someone that I've seen before.
Yeah, every time I get something, I make sure I tell you just to let you know that I got somebody. But our first guest that we started off with, and that I was kind of nervous to do because it was the first interview that we've done, was Chaz Nixon, who just recently got drafted to the Fluent Firebirds. I think it was 4 weeks ago when the draft was.
Yeah, almost a month ago. I was actually really cool.
Pretty much a month ago.
I missed it, but that was really cool to hear who got drafted and who I kind of knew from that OHL draft.
Yeah, and all the other guys that we want to have on in the future. But obviously, it was pretty nervous to have a first guest in the podcast, and for those type of guys, like I target those guys because they're going to be big in the future, and then that's when we can come back to them and be like, hey, you want to come back on the podcast? You're pretty big now, got 15K followers on whatever you want to say. When you start getting noticed by the OHL fans, when you start being a regular for OHL lineups, and then they just come back on and they're bigger than us. I mean, it's crazy to know that we now have 2 OHL players that have now come on the podcast that we want to have more in the future. But yeah, that was our first episode.
It's always incredible to talk to these guys. It's always cool to talk to these guys too, because it's like their first interview, and you can see how excited they are. You can hear kind of the enthusiasm in their voice, like, my first interview. It's always fun to do.
And then we had our first actual big kind of TV sports analyst guy, Chris Johnston. We have him on. That was even more nerve-wracking because that was our first big sportscaster.
Yeah, he was huge. And I remember I wore a Thrashers jersey for that episode. And Braden told me off camera, like, why are you wearing that? I'm wearing a Canadian jersey because I want to represent Canada because he works for Hockey in Canada. And I said, well, if there's anyone who's going to know about Atlanta, it's going to be someone who works as a sports writer. And sure enough, the first thing he said when he got on was, Thrashers jersey, neat.
We really should have asked, we'll get into the future, but we should have asked Michael Grange about the Thrashers because he's been in the business for 24 years, I think it was, 22 years, something like that. We should have asked him about it because he's been in there for a long, long time, and he's probably seen those things in person. We should have asked him, but we'll get into him.
The dark ages of Atlanta, aka the
dark ages
horrendous first season they had,
and then the Atlanta-based where they're not going to ever come back again because they lost 2 teams straight.
Well, I mean, so did Houston. Houston lost the Arrows of the AHL as well. So, I mean, I don't know why people are saying Houston's a market, but back on track.
Back on track. But we did have Chris Johnson. We're super grateful to have him on. But we also we have a theme with everybody that we've had. We talked about how they got into their career. So if anybody is watching that knows of this person and knows their career and they're like, I want to be like that person, we want to target those and we want them to talk about how you can get into that. We asked Chris Johnson how he got into it. We asked Duthie, who's actually next, a little bit of a TSN Sportsnet rivalry, which I thought was pretty cool. But
we've had a lot of TSN Sportsnet people,
and that's kind of funny too because we want a ton of people because they're all of them, like we said before, all of them are great. And then we like that kind of rivalry. So we want to have maybe one Sportsnet guy, one TSN guy, and talk about who's better.
Oh, that would be an interesting episode.
That'd be interesting.
On to James Duthie, though. I remember that was kind of the one where it was the surreal moment of, holy crap, this is our first kind of big break, essentially.
Yeah, like
It was
each one
that's like our most watched episode with like 134 views or something like that. When everyone
more
from
than
Duffy's
like I'm
page
saying
and
180 something.
crap.
I think it's
But I remember I was expecting Duffy to be more like sports based. I thought he was just going to talk about everything sports, and he was really, really philosophical. And I kind of that was a nice turn to see, where how he talked about like the butterfly boy, and he talked about how he got into it. He talked about kind of more like the Olympics as well, which it's always neat to see someone who has hosted the Olympics talk about it, which is cool.
And then like every episode we've done just builds on each other. Like it goes from great and then great and then great and then great. It just keeps building up. And that's what we want to build at this point. We want to have everybody here that we're appreciative of. I can't say that word, but that we enjoy talking to. Like everybody we enjoy talking to. We want to have more guys in the future, but it just keeps building on each other. And that building gets to more relationships, and then it just keeps expanding. And then just now we have this entire thing. Now we have 100 episodes of the podcast, and we have 74 guests that we're on, or maybe 50 guests that we're on. So half our episodes are just full of guests.
Now going to Mark Corbett, I think that this was another one that I remember that I thought he was going to talk about what life is like playing overseas and how great Europe is. And he was just all about his charity. And again, I really liked how he did that. He just went for it.
Well, what he's doing is
great. It's really great.
Is very, very inspiring because he went to obviously the European Hockey League, and he went. I think he played. Where did he play for? Ryerson, I think.
He played for. I think it was Ryerson. He played for someone, and then college, I think that he, instead of going junior hockey, he went played in U Sports, and then he kind of flipped his way over to Europe because that was kind of his like. I wouldn't want to say his only chance, but that was kind of he went to play in Europe because that was kind of I think he wanted a different experience or something like that. And honestly, if I had the chance, I would play in Europe. It's freaking cool playing in Europe.
And what was really cool about his is that he didn't make it about himself. He made it about his foundation.
Other people.
And he's like, if you have a dream to go to the NHL and it gets, cut down, I'll say like that, then it's not over. You can go to, there's always another option. And
there's always like the KHL, there's the Liga in Sweden, there's the ECHL here in North America, there's all sorts of places.
And he was the guy like, you know what, this is how you kind of adjust from that. Like it's always going to be different. There's always going to be a downside of things. And he's like, if you ever have any questions, like he just helps kids be their best, which is exactly what we called the episode. I think it was helping kids be their best. And that one, I like that.
And then Jeff Merrick,
one of the greatest.
And then Jeff Merrick was like a total switch from philosophical to like more sports analyst side, and that was honestly like a nice touch, to be totally honest, because he kind of gave his advice on how the Leafs could improve depth, and he gave us really good advice. He talked about kind of his quote unquote goals on TV and radio, which was again really interesting to see. Just kind of a guy who like kind of his perspective, who just is like a big person, like just kind of a bigger, like a Sportsnet employee.
And everybody is of equal greatness. We're all like, everybody's of equal greatness. Like, I don't know how much I can say that, but Jeff Merrick, he talked about how that was our first episode where we kind of focused on the Leafs, because we just kind of focused on, we asked him how the Leafs should adjust in the future. He also gave us advice about the podcast that he does, 31 Thoughts. James did the same thing with his podcast, the Rubber Boots podcast, which are both great podcasts. I've listened to both of them multiple episodes. And then he was talking about his goals and how his transition from radio to television was. And he was just going through his career and helping us with advice to the podcast. And then that was our first episode where we really focused on Leafs. So I thought, bit of a transition.
Then there was the one with DZ, which was really, really interesting because we kind of got to see what's behind the scenes of Bar Down that you can't see on camera, which is really, really interesting to see. He talked about the unreleased. He talked about like the unreleased episode. He told us about the like a few episodes that were going to be released, which was really interesting. And
I think it was what was it called? Buttery Names or something.
Buttery names. It's a really long story. Go watch the podcast if you want to. Go watch that episode if you want to see it. There was some other ones too, like how he talked about that really odd NHL game that he played, where it was like NHL Slapshot 2001 or something dumb along those lines. I forget. It was just weird and.
Yeah, that one was interesting because we got like an inside scoop to what he does. Like not like we haven't gotten any from anybody else, but this one was kind of like we watch him, we know who he is, and then it was kind of surreal to have him on because we watched him. Like we watched everybody else, surreal for everybody, but this one was like we got an inside scoop to what we didn't know or what the fans didn't know. So we're giving the fans different options to listen to, and then they're like, well, this is. Now, he even said, he's like, when we asked about the unreleased episode, he's like, well, this is going to be everywhere now. now it's kind of out there. That it wasn't just for in between the Bar Down team and
they couldn't sweep it under the rug for long.
And now it's out on the internet.
Didn't our friend tell us about that? Like, oh yeah, Corwin told me there was an unreleased episode, and then we asked DZ about it. You could see the look on his face of
Yeah, one of our friends, I believe we talked about him in the DZ episode. He met Corwin, and Corwin came to our high school for a career day, and he texted me when I told him that we got DZ because he thought he also watches them, and he said you should probably ask him about the unreleased episode because apparently it's. I think he even said it's super.
It's a good one.
And I didn't get it at first. I was like, well, what does buttery mean? Like that doesn't make any sense. What does buttery mean? And he's like, you'll see it. I'm like, okay, great.
I would love to see a brand of butter called Sandus Ogelans. I feel like that'd be a really interesting butter. Smoothest butter out there.
And then we're moving towards the YouTuber side, again with DZ.
5 points. This was the one that I got. This is the guy that I got.
Matthew got. Like I've made in contact with everybody but 5 points, which is
you can tell he has too much free time because he DMs like 200 people a day.
But that's what I like about YouTubers. Like they're super engaged with their fans. Like everybody here is engaged with their fans.
Oh yeah. And I remember about 5 points in the beginning of the episode, I copied and pasted the text he sent me, and he didn't just say, like, one thing I did kind of really like about how he got on was that he kind of didn't just say, okay. He kind of was like, oh, can I see it? And then I gave him the link to the podcast, and he said, sure, I'll do it. And they said, what time works for you guys? And we kind of coordinated that whole thing. And then he also did some kind of rank. Since I've watched 5 points personally, because I always am interested in the ranking sports certain stadiums and he ranked Tropicana Field the worst, which is a stadium that you really like. I just want to kind of
I wouldn't say I really like. I just say I enjoy it. Like I'm not a hater of it.
How do you enjoy Tropicana?
I'm not a hater.
It's such a boring, basic field. It's just,
I don't know. I just like the architecture from it. So like
the architecture. T-Mobile Barclays Center has more architecture than T-Mobile.
Nassau Coliseum is
not even okay. Yeah, Nassau Coliseum.
Not even gonna get into that.
It's pretty good.
Not even gonna get into that. Like they spent $40,000 on seats and can't fill $5,000 of them. Anyways.
Neither could you guys for like years. Don't you be talking?
But 5 points also talked about his journey into YouTube, and then there's always those kids our age that are trying to start gaming channels, and like I think that's how he started off. I think he said he started off with Madden, and you see
he started off making Madden videos, and then I think he kind of said it. He saw someone's video, and then it just spiraled into him making kind of those ranting style videos, and now here he is. He's making podcast episodes with Urinating Tree. He's doing like basically like a lot of other. He's basically doing what he loves but getting paid to do it. Which
and then he kind of said to the people that want to start a gaming channel, like you see those kids everywhere, all around the world that are starting YouTube channels, looking to become the guys like. Who's a good gaming
Ninja,
channel?
Markiplier, PewDiePie.
Yeah. All those guys. Like they have that kind of dream, and then 5 points goes, you know what? If you have a dream, go for it.
Exactly. A lot of these guys have that. A lot of these guys have that, and I really respect them for it. I'm not just saying that they were the special snowflake that made it through. Like they had to work for it. And it's
not a lot of them. All of them do. All of them had one thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that they wanted to do, but all of them had a thing.
Chris Johnson's was cool. Chris Johnson's was cool too, because he kind of said he was always obsessed with hockey and wanted to be a hockey writer ever since he was like really little, and then he kind of got to fulfill that dream, which is awesome.
And all these guys had dreams. Like all of them, maybe not all have gone into it, but all of them say follow your dreams. All of them say don't say to people, don't like, I don't know how to say it. Don't listen to the haters. I think I'll say that. Don't listen to the haters.
I just kind of tune out the haters and just go about what you want to do.
Go about yourself.
And Scott Hannum kind of lived his dream. He was a really good defenseman.
Our first NHL player on the podcast, which was as surreal as it sounds. Like our
first NHLer. Met guys like Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Scott Niedermayer.
He actually talked about that he walked into a dressing room. We asked him a question about walking into the dressing room and seeing all these different Hall of Famers. And then he goes, well, yeah, I saw, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux. And then I want to have him back on one day to ask him maybe if he has any further relationship with them, like if he ever gained relationships of guys that he watched when he was growing up, when he was going into like starting off in the NHL, like he grew up watching, and then now he has a relationship with. Like I've always wanted to ask him that question.
And then we went into Darren Dreger, I think, who was another kind of analyst that we did that wasn't really more kind of follow your dreams type one. He was one of the ones that was more like he talked a lot of hockey and he talked about analyst stuff, which is
what we love and we will do.
Yeah. This is if I could, I would talk about sports I would talk all day. And that was the episode that I really just was in my element with. And it was, he talked about like the future of the Leafs, the future of the NHL, the NHL season. He did talk some kind of philosophical stuff. He discussed his contributions to minor hockey, since his son was really big into minor hockey. I don't know if he still is, but his son was big into it. So
and that was the kind of first one we focused on our age hockey, like hockey that we might have been involved with, maybe not now, but we were maybe involved with, or at least I was involved with it when I was.
I am. I was involved with some minor hockey. I still am. I videotape our high school's hockey team, which is always fun.
It's always fun until you fell off the thing.
Yeah, until I fall off the stanchion. We can, Braden, post that at some, like, maybe clip that in there or something like that.
Whoa, almost lost the camera. Holy, hello. Yeah, that fell right up the stairs and smacked in the finger. Beautiful.
There you go, you're welcome.
Yep, it's essentially me just missing the step, and I almost lost the camera.
Yeah, so you say it's fun, and then that happens.
Yeah, and my heart was in my throat for the rest of that.
That was the first time I just said roll a clip. That's interesting. I don't know if you ever watch videos on a podcast. Oh, well, unless you have like in a studio and you like pull up different things that people have done. I want to do that eventually too. You guys will hear that on. Oh, before we go into Julia, we have an interview coming up on May 15th with Burnaby Connect. Oh, I touched my phone. With Burnaby Connect, and we talk about everything that we started off with, what our future plans are. So if you want to know what we're doing next, like the new segment.
Watch that interview. You know what the funny thing is? I feel really bad for their editor because we did like 40 minutes worth of stuff and they had to clip it down to 5 or 2.
Yeah.
I just, like, you have to sit there and think, what were the best moments? And I kind of felt bad because imagine recording like 2 hours worth of footage, having cut down to like a minute.
You know what? Should we just tell the people that are listening right now what our new segment is? What should they have to do right now? If I look on a YouTube video, how many views should so who name a person, say how many views it has to have. Let's go with our highest one, which is James Duthie. It has to have more than 170 in order for us to tell you what our new segment is. That is coming out very soon.
Or just hit the like button and we'll share it.
Exactly. Actually, I'm not
by hitting
going to do that.
Button.
We're not going to tell you what our new segment is. And if this video gets, what,
Any amount of likes will do it.
10 likes. 10 likes in the next episode, we will tell you, or we will bring out our new segment. 10 likes and we will bring out our new segment.
Well, watch this be like the Bar Down episode where they said 20,000 likes in the first day. We'll get it, or like in the first 2 days, we'll get you guys a Goal Horns quiz, and it was 22,000 likes in an hour.
Yeah, I'll put it in the beginning again too. Like I'll maybe hint at the beginning because some people may not have made it to this point. But moving on to Julia, who was also involved with Bar Down, and we have another Bar Down member.
Julia was another Bar Down member, and it was interesting to hear. I thought she only did. I knew that Bar Down wasn't her 100% kind of career because she had mentioned before in like certain episodes that she was going back to Thunder Bay and all that stuff, and to mention like, for her to
live.
She does Rams live. She's if you've ever gone to a Mississauga Steelheads game, she's the in-game announcer, which is cool. She's the one who does all the intermission games or whatever. So that Buffalo Vegas moment where the guy got knocked off the trike and got really ticked about it, that probably would have been set up by an in-game announcer, which is really cool. Like the work that those in-game announcers do is incredible.
Yeah, and then if you didn't listen to the episode, not only is she working 3 different jobs, is that she just finished university.
Yeah.
Like that when I first heard it blew my mind. I don't know if I really had a reaction, but I did. I did it maybe in my head or something like that, but I had a reaction like, wait, what? Hold on, pause. You're working 3 jobs that are, I say the Steelhead's pretty much full-time because you go to every game. TSN's decent.
Or every home game, so it's technically part-time kind of.
But that you're working 3 jobs, your commitment's probably super high, and then you just finished university, which was also probably a big part of.
Welcome to college.
How much free time do you have? If Julie, if
welcome to college,
how much free time do you have? Honestly, like a month
Brayden,
ago.
Welcome to college.
Welcome to college. I can't.
Place where you have to use 3 jobs to pay off your student loan.
Exactly.
And she also talked about how she got involved with TSN, which was more like getting into covering a football game, which again is insanely cool that she mainly
the podcast to hear that.
Yeah, it was really interesting to hear. And then I'll let you take over this one because
so Julius was our 10. So our 11, so going on to 11, 12, 13, 14 was Tejas, our other OHL player, and Matthew wasn't there for that because he had a family Zoom meeting that he didn't tell me about until Saturday night. And we were filming it on
I didn't realize. My family told me that night. I'm like, crap.
He didn't tell me till 8 hours before the recording.
because like because the funny thing is like my mom texted the group chat and like our family group chat and said, let's have a Zoom meeting tomorrow. And I'm like, oh great, what time is it? 1:00. Oh
no,
what time is Zoom interview? I was like,
Anyways, Tejas talked about his future, plan. Same thing with Chaz. We asked him basically the same questions, and just it was, I think, 8 minutes long, probably the shortest episode we've done, which it speaks for itself. But
it's short episodes can be great too. Great content can be back in the small
episodes. It was nice and short. A lot of information was spread. I'm not saying it was bad. Like, of course,
no.
It wasn't bad.
All of the episodes were really fun to film because they're just you get to meet people that you never even thought.
All of them are, and all of them will be. Like, there's never going to be one where I'm not going to like. There's never going to be one like that because all of them we are so appreciative of every person that has came on the podcast so far. And
because the fact that these guys who easily have way more fame than us can kind of say, oh yeah, sure, we'll sit down with you and do a podcast. It's awesome.
And just to think that these podcasts could be hour to hour and a half long, and we're sticking to 20 minutes, and how much information comes out of 20 minutes blows my mind. Blows my mind. And then moves on to our very first active NHL player, Michael Grabner, which was in a recent episode, and you don't know how many times I got responses from Instagram, Twitter. I posted on my Snapchat story of saying, how did you get Michael Grabner? And honestly, to the people that want to know, it's just Instagram DMs, Instagram and Twitter DMs. That's it.
Usually one of those guys has a few free minutes and says, sure, I'll do it.
Exactly.
And usually they want to help us out, and it's awesome to have every person respond.
You've seen so many people say, shoot your shot. It's exactly what we did. And then we've landed guys like all the big guys, right? all the big boys that are
I never,
more famous.
To be totally honest, I never thought 5 points would respond, and he did, and he said he liked our sincerity. So I find that cool that he actually took the time to kind of look at it and scroll through the episodes, and it's awesome.
Yeah, but Michael Grabner, he talked about his career and him moving from Austria all the way to an NHL lineup, being a regular and a veteran on a new Arizona team.
Yeah.
And then we talked about his eye injury, which was interesting because we didn't actually have that scripted down. That was one of our questions.
Wait. When was that eye injury actually? Did you look into that?
I think it was when he played for New York. Anyways,
because there was a guy who recently got hurt against the Habs who played for the Islanders. Maybe that would have been him.
What?
Maybe. Yes. There was a guy who got hurt really recently for the Islanders because he got cut like on his eyelid playing against the Habs.
December 2nd, 2018. So it was against the St. Louis Blues.
Oh, yes, right. I remember that.
Yeah. So again, he talked about that. He went through his NHL, obviously coming from Austria, where it's very, like, hockey's very low maintenance, and it's not very recognizable in Austria. Like, you see sports like soccer and what else did we say? Skiing is also, like, big in Austria. So
and then he basically said, I don't ski.
I don't ski. And then we're moving on to our third Bar Down member that we've had so far on the podcast, which is Dave, which is actually the producer and the founder of Bar Down. So we thought that was obviously,
Yeah, and Dave was actually really cool.
Yeah, and
we also talked to him about the rejected Bar Down episode, which is always a fun topic to bring up with the guys.
He had a more extensive explanation of what it was.
And you got to see kind of like the higher up positions in Bar Down, which is cool.
Yeah, and then we also talked about his relationship with Cabby. If you guys don't know who Cabby is, he's I don't know how you don't know who Cabby is, first of all. He was an on-screen personality. He did Cabby Presents, where he's talked to guys like
name an NHLer, he's probably any athlete, he's probably
like, I remember he did Ovi when he was like a near past rookie. I remember that. It was interesting. Go watch that. And then just his journey through the sports industry, because he's been doing this for a long time. And then finally, our one that came out when is this episode coming up? Probably today. The one that we had yesterday, that was the first one that was on the phone, our second one that was on the phone.
That was the first. I found it kind of unique because that was the first guy that kind of said, "I don't want to show my face," which is all right by me. If you want to keep your privacy,
yeah, like it's literally like.
But it was kind of an interesting take because we got to use some kind of elements of editing that we never even thought we would use, which is still cool.
First off, it wasn't our first one that was through the phone. Chaz was through the phone too.
Chaz was the phone too. We never used the on the phone
behind the screens. Okay, hold on. Let me move my pop filter real quick. My phone, I took off my pop filter. My phone was right here, right next to the microphone. I was talking to him through the microphone, like through my phone. And yeah, that was our setup right there. But Michael Grange was again our first guy to talk about Raptors.
He was just going to talk about the NBA because we've talked about Tom Brady before.
And that was the first time we were discussing the NBA.
Yeah, we've talked about Tom Brady. We haven't talked about the NBA, and that's kind of an interesting clip.
And now all we have to cover is the NFL. We've
covered the NFL
a little bit with Tom Brady.
We've covered every sport, I think, now, because we just talked about Tropicana. We've covered every sport, which is interesting.
And then that kind
of our first episode talked about Garrett Cole. I remember our first episode talked about Garrett Cole going to the Yankees.
Yeah, and then this kind of brings us to the end of our recap episode, and we just want to say to everybody that came on our show, maybe watching it right now, we thank you guys for coming on. All of you are amazing, and if anybody here is watching this and you are interested in coming on the podcast, we'll link Instagram, Twitter. I'll put an email down there that you guys can reach out to. That if you'd like to come on, if you can reach out.
And hey, if you guys have an interesting take on sports and you want to come on, let us know.
Let us
DM us. I had a guy DM us on Twitter saying he'd want to come on for university sports. I'd like to have him on because he's huge.
That's also a future episode.
Yeah, because I want to get him on because he's really interesting. And he DM'd me. Did he DM you? He followed me and DM'd me.
He followed the episode. We're not gonna tell you who it is yet, but he did follow it. I haven't talked to him yet, but I definitely will.
Yeah, wait, did he follow your personal Twitter? Because he followed my personal Twitter, and he had him saying, "Hey, thanks for the follow." And then he gave me this. Guy was awesome. I talked to him for a couple minutes. He gave me this freaking paragraph of an answer of a reply. I'm like, all right, this guy's big. And you know what? Honestly, I'd love to have that guy on. I would love to hear his kind of take on U Sports, because we've already had like 3 guys involved in U Sports. I just want to continue on about it. But it's not talked about.
Thank you guys for watching it, all the fans that are watching it. Again, just to remind you, if there's anybody out there that maybe the viewers know that want to come on the podcast, again, everything's linked down in the description. Instagram, Twitter, you can put Facebook down there, and an email you can reach out to that you will be able to contact us.
We have a Facebook? I didn't know that. All right, go follow
that. Because I thought that'd be a good way to reach other people.
Yeah, true. Go like that. I don't know how you do something.
Do whatever with that.
Do whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Reminder, this video gets 10 likes, and we will release our new segment in the next episode. We will see you guys in the next episode.